All right, I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for taking the time to come to our first breakout session of the day here at our annual meeting merchandise show for the Georgia PGA. For those of you I have not gotten a chance to meet, my name is Russell, and I'm the Education Committee Chairperson for the Georgia Board of Directors. We've got a great panel of folks today here for a breakout session that we're calling Focused on Family and Fun, Creating an Atmosphere for Everyone. And so really what we want to talk about today is more of a boots on the ground approach to how we create atmosphere, how we create the vibe at our facilities, and then we'll specifically go into some programming and just some different best practices from a group of panelists here who have a variety of backgrounds. So we'll start here. Pamela Shelley-Storz. She is the head professional at the landing course at Reynolds Lake Oconee, and a current board member. Then we've got Chris Knobloch. He is the teaching professional at Summer Grove. Chris, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Got Lauren Court Yasprila.
Nailed it.
Close enough.
Close enough.
Oh, I mean, we practiced that hours before this. But recently married, name change, so
Yes.
we're all getting used to that. But
Yep.
she's the player development for District 13, so Georgia, North Florida, South Florida.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, and then Austin Barreras, merchandise and brand manager for the Intown Golf Club. Great indoor golf facility there in Buckhead. If you haven't been to check it out, definitely highly recommend. So panel, thank you for being here. Looking forward to this conversation because again, as we spoke prior to starting, you each come from a different place, but each of you has created culture within your facilities. So first want to start out with, let's just go through the background that led you to your current role. And Austin, I'm going to start with you. How did you get to Intown and go from where you started to brand management for them?
I started at Intown. I was actually applied to be a member. It was just a really cool idea. It was like an in-town social club for golfers that had really good technology like TrackMan, but we have a full restaurant and bars, and it seemed like a cool place to hang out with a bunch of guys and people that really liked golf. My job shifted, and I actually needed to get a job, so I reached back out to them. And it was really nice because they hired me. I wasn't really in the PGA program at the beginning. Once I got hired, I started in the program, but it was kind of nice because we were so different than a traditional golf course that we could kind of mold and figure out what we wanted the club to end up being like. So I did that. I was an assistant. I gave lessons and helped with merchandise for 2.5 years. I got promoted to merchandise and brand manager because we have Atlanta, Charlotte, and Columbus open. We're opening Philadelphia at the end of the year, and we have 3 more coming next year. So someone has to oversee all of the buying for merchandise and the brand as a whole through one person. So I was fortunate enough to get promoted to that, and I oversee the buying for all of those clubs and the branding for all those clubs.
Nice. Yeah, they do a great job. Very consistent with things throughout the different facilities. Lauren, what about you?
Yeah, so I've been in this role for 7 years now, but I was actually just been with the section for a couple of months, but I actually grew up here. So grew up in Gwinnett County in Lawrenceville and really fell in love with golf there. Went to Georgia State, played for 4 years, got my degree in marketing, and then went back and got my master's in sports administration, where I interned with the company that came up with PGA Junior League. And then an opportunity came up to join the PGA, move down to Florida and work with professionals on how they engage with PGA Junior League. And from there, it's really expanded to other programs that we have now. So family golf and PGA coach, and just glad to be able to come back to the Georgia section. Feels like coming home. And I've been annoying Scott Gordon since 2008. So glad to be back and with the crew here.
Somebody needs to do it. Sure, a couple of people in this room could say the same thing.
Absolutely.
Chris?
Yeah, so I'm a 32-year veteran of the PGA, so it's good to see a lot of veterans as well in this room too. And my career, has just gone many different places from GM to head pro, and really the last probably 15 years with a little hiccup, on a GM role or a director golf role, but it's been around junior golf and creating just building programs that get kids in the game. And when I think of a kid program or a junior program, I think of a family program because, like I said, these little kids can't get themselves to the golf course. So it's more, when we say junior program, I think we should really name it family program. So that's what I do. That's what I really enjoy. I do some work with U.S. Kids. I'm the Atlanta tour director as well, so I'm still staying around the kids. And I always say I live in the junior world and enjoy it a lot. So.
Well, when I think about Chris, I think about energy. And that's what you got to have, around these types of programming. Pamela, I could say the same for you. Different energy, but same for you. Pamela, tell us about your road to Reynolds.
So I have been in the Georgia section for the last 8 years. Prior to that, I was in the North Florida section. Was an assistant golf professional at Ponte Vedra Inn and Club and Sawgrass Country Club. Wasn't too sure if I wanted to stay in operations fully because I did have such a great passion for teaching. So I moved to Atlanta to work as a teaching professional at the athletic club. Did that for a year. Still loved teaching, still loved programming and kids and beginners and all of the things, but I kind of missed a little of the daily chaos of operations. So found the perfect fit for myself at Reynolds like Oconee. So I've been there for about 7.5 years. To kind of echo what Chris was talking about, my world is kind of building the programming and the family lifestyle that we've seen evolve in the last, well, especially since COVID, the last, 4 to 5 years.
Well, that's a great segue into kind of the first topic or question. We really wanted to look at the trends and the customer expectations for your facilities in general. And Lauren, you can speak to, well, I'll actually start with you. Because you can speak to what you see at the facilities of the professionals that are engaging you. And again, we're talking about what's the overall trend of customer expectation that you're seeing.
Yeah, so my position's unique because most of my feedback comes from the PGA professionals that are running the programs, but at the end of every year for all of our programs, we survey our consumers with an NPS survey. So it's basically one question, how they rate the program, and then they get to give as much feedback as possible. And I can tell you from that feedback, it's really the expectations, like what are they going to expect when they get to the golf course. So some main themes there, scheduling, that comes up constantly because a family's schedule is revolving around the activities, especially those of the kids. So the request being like, if you could get a schedule out as soon as possible, or even just give us a generic timeline of what days practices will be, what days matches will be. So that's probably the major theme there is they need a schedule before they can commit to being involved in these activities. So probably the biggest feedback is the scheduling and the communication. You can never have too much communication. Over communicating doesn't exist in my world. So those are probably top two for me is scheduling and communication.
Man, you sound like my wife.
And she's probably right.
100%. I guess if you're having to get the kids to multiple different activities and you want golf to be one of them, you've got to schedule it all somehow. That's good feedback. Chris, what about you? I mean, you live in a kind of similar world there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we get a lot of questions on that. So we'll go into program, but what's next? You do have to have the year planned out. I'm already planned out almost for 2025. So. But sort of the expectations of facility, I think, we as the interactor with the customer, we're sort of setting the vibe, and we've got to be up. You just said energy, we got to have the energy every day, every customer. We're not having a good day. Nobody has a good day every day. And there's some challenging customers out there. We can be honest, we could probably name them off right there, and I can go through the line. You can name them first name, and then say a little 4-letter word probably. But guess what? So the expectation, we just got to be ready for them and ready for, on my instance, we want them to come to the golf course, so I want them to have a great experience. I want those families, besides time coming to our classes, we want them to come to the facility outside of our programming. We want to come play the golf course, come use the range, come use the restaurant. So we have to set that, positive energy, that positive, experience. I think experience, I always live off the world of, that positive experience.
Yeah, that's a great point because, and it's good to have that echoed from your peers, or to your peers, from them, the energy that's what the customer's there for, right? They're there to use your facility, but really they feed off the energy of you and your staff. And I've seen that at Reynolds. There's an active, part of the membership that uses your course. Tell us about the expectations that they have when they show up at the landing.
So to kind of piggyback on what Lauren was talking about, but also, on a broader spectrum, it's you cannot over-communicate. Going back to the scheduling thing, parents want constant communication of if anything's changing, what they should expect, not even like just daily, but, for the month. So you can never over-communicate. Some of the things that we've kind of taken into our world at the landing specifically is, T-sheet correspondence. We have multiple golf courses, and it's very easy for somebody to show up to the wrong golf course because they think they have a tee time booked. So we tend to send a morning landing golf ops update that says, you are scheduled for a tee time here today. Some things to note: we might be cart path only. The snack bar might be closing early or opening early. You might just throw out that, we have new apparel in the golf shop. We might be starting our junior program for the summer. Just little tidbits just to kind of over communicate.
So when they show up, they can't say, well, I didn't know.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Perfect. Read the email. Yeah, that's great. And Austin, what about you? And Brandon, as you're looking at different facilities and different cultures, have you seen a different expectation amongst those customers?
Yeah, I would definitely say that, our members tend to be a little different than traditional golf members. We have a good amount of young professionals, people on waiting lists to be into a club. We're also someone's fifth club. They're a member at Peachtree, Wade, and all other kind of places. So they're used to very traditional things, so we look at it very differently. We look at our programming as the club that you actually bring the family to a lot. Sometimes some of these members at really high-end places, they don't bring their kids out to the range and hit balls in front of all these other people, or it's intimidating. So we have a nice programming where they can come in, you can close the doors, we have curtains, so it can be very private, which helps the expectation, especially if you're new to the game, or if you're someone that your job now requires you to play golf. You've never played golf before. We are like a really nice place where you can kind of hide, not on a driving range in front of 80 people to learn the game. So we kind of focus on that, and we really do our junior and family programming about learning golf in a space that it could just be you and your family, or you and the pro, or if you just want to book a bay for a couple hours and figure it out yourself, you can do that as well. So when they do a tour, we really emphasize on that. Like you as a lady who wants to learn the golf for the first time, bring your friends, get drinks. Y'all can all hang out here for 2 hours and figure it out. And we've seen our programming skyrocket because of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. If you see it for the first time, you may not know that, that's how people use it. And that's what's interesting about that facility is it's used in some ways that wouldn't be your first kind of expectation.
Yeah.
You think it's kind of like a boys club, for lack of a better term.
Sure.
That's what it looks like. It could be on the outside, but it's really not. I see families up there with kids, guys treating it like it's the gym.
Yeah, it's tons and tons of families, which wasn't our first expectation. We built the club just kind of people that were just really into golf as like a social club with great food and restaurant, and golf was like a part of it. And we found that families enjoy it, if not more than their, regular members.
Yeah, so that's a good piece of feedback, something that you're potentially not even looking, to create, and then it kind of comes to you. You embrace that, and then it really helps your facility grow. All right, so that's kind of the overall generals that we're seeing from an expectation standpoint. So then let's get more into specific programming. And I guess, the caveat here is, have you seen any changes? Like you just talked about how, it changed from the beginning of what you thought. But more in the short term, have you seen any changes? We talked about since COVID, but, we're down the road from that. Have you seen any expectations change lately? And if so, let's speak on some programming that we've kind of embraced. Lauren, I'm going to start with you again,
Sure.
Just because you've got that wide view of things.
Yeah. So we've gotten a lot of coaches who are taking PGA Junior League and doing a lot of amazing things with it. So it's becoming more and more flexible. A couple of years ago, we moved to a membership model where we have a fee at the beginning of the season that the kids pay. It gets their team kit, all the stuff that comes with that, and then our coaches set their coaching fee. And the coaches can host as many programs throughout the year as they would like, and they only have to pay that membership fee at the beginning. So then they just pay the coaching fee for every season that they get involved with, which was a great change because it gave our coaches the flexibility to run year-long programming. They can post it at any time, do it at any time, because since COVID, we have seen kids want to come back. Like they just want more, and they continue to want more. So from that, we've had a lot of coaches do a lot of cool things. You've got some that are setting up like a spring training for the summer season just to get the kids familiar with the program before they start traveling around and competing with other teams. And then you've got some that are breaking down their kids into different divisions, like what are they prepared for? A 3-hole division, a 6-hole division, a 9-hole division. Maybe a family that's just getting into golf doesn't want to commit to a 9-hole round for their kid. Maybe they just wanted to do 3 holes and get used to it and then have their kid progress up into 6 holes, 9 holes. So it's really just the flexibility of the programming that I'm seeing professionals get really creative with to fit the consumer and what they're looking for. Another one being family golf, just as many families as are wanting to be outside, away from screen time. We're seeing people come out and watch Junior League, and we thought, let's get them off the cart path and engaged. So it's the same format, same scramble, same fun, just really engaging the family. Something I kind of wish was around when my family was playing golf, because I didn't grow up in a family of golfers. My mom wanted to come and play like a hole and then sit and watch for the rest, and you can do that with family golf. You can engage the people that don't play all the time. They can come and be a part of it, but not have the expectation to be engaged throughout the whole round. So really just the flexibility of programming, I feel like, is getting really creative, and you're competing with other sports too, right? Because as COVID's gone away, other sports are coming back, and so you're competing with the other things that the kids are engaged in and families are engaged in. So we've got some really creative professionals, and what they're doing is really fun to watch.
Yeah, that's cool, because obviously we've all heard, Junior League, but creating programming that supports it, feeds off of it,
Yeah.
uses it in different ways, can create more of a all-encompassing, when it's talking about family engagement.
Yeah.
Which is cool, because I think, a lot of times we'll hear those programming terms and be like, okay, like that, it's in a box.
Right, well, there's that misconception with Junior League that it has to be this one thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're working to get away from, is it's really whatever you want to make it.
Yeah, Pamela knows. I mean, we had that conversation when, it was coming to the lake. It was like, it didn't sound like it was for me. And then to watch her create a culture around it. Tell us about that a little bit.
So I've had a PGA Junior League team for, I think, the last 4 seasons. Popularity has grown immensely, even to the point where, kind of like you're talking about with the membership for the whole year, we started offering a fall program, because a lot of the parents were saying, well, it's great in the summer, the kids are golfing, but then they're not doing anything until next summer. So we started offering a fall program. This current summer, we offered our first family golf day, and it was tremendous, because so many of the parents who have been watching their kids play Junior League are now able to get involved and participate in that as well. And it's really starting to show in other areas. Saturday mornings, I have a whole family show up to go use the practice facility. Sunday afternoons after church, they're coming out, and even if they're only going to, go out and play 3 or 4 holes, they're keeping their kids interested, even though, I might not have a program going right at this very instance. So it's just been a great upsell on all of the amenities and all of the facilities for the entire family, which is kind of why we're here today.
Yeah, we were talking about that at breakfast. It's cool to see, those folks come out and engage with the facility even after the programming is done with. And we got to keep the vibe welcoming, right? To keep having those folks come back. Chris, what about you?
I'm going to build off this lady's experience, and I use PGA Junior League, and I have for the last probably 10 or so years. It's just a part of my junior program, a part of my family program, and have some flexibility, because you may have someone that's never been on the golf course. I'm going to say, hey, guess what? Starting in 2 months, we have Junior League. It gets you on the golf course, Little League baseball in a golf scenario, especially after summertime. Everybody who runs a big summer camp parents want to know, their kid just had a great time in summer camp. We did 260 kids, and almost every parent, they're like, hey, what's next? My kid's not doing anything this fall. He's dropped out of baseball. He's not going to do football. We've got to have that what's next, and whether it's junior league or whether it's an after-school program, whether it's a parent-child event, it's something that you have to look all year long, and where do you plug and where do you keep them playing? One of my company is Junior Golf 365, and that's what I really live by, is how can we keep them going? And it's a lot of sports that do a lot better job, I think, than what golf does. You look on the soccer field, you got 1,000 kids on a Saturday morning. How can we get to some of that size? Our golf course can't handle 1,000 people, I don't think, but we can get those kids wanting to come to the golf course, and with the family, just to come to the range, just go hit a few golf balls and, let the kid ride on the golf cart with you or something like that. But we need to tie in every little piece of the puzzle, to keep the engagement going, I think.
It's definitely interesting too. You look at, again, the variety of places that are represented here, and especially that you see all over the district. Austin, I know it's probably not PGA Junior League over there.
Yeah.
But I mean, you kind of alluded to creating a culture, and I think
Yeah.
Whether it's a high-end private social club, all the way through the gamut of facilities, it sounds like being welcoming. So Austin, what type of programming specifically do you guys use?
Yeah, so we don't have PGA Junior League. We would.
Yet.
Yet. We could come up with one. But we utilize things for our summer camps for kids, which has been very popular. We're going to do a winter series as well when they can't go to the course and it's really cold. We use TrackMan for everything, and TrackMan has been really awesome with creating kids' games. So they have 4 different games they choose from constantly. And during our camps, we introduce the kids to the games, walk them through how to play them, whether it's just hitting balls into Magic Pond, and they hit balls, they find monsters. It makes golf super fun. They get incredibly excited about it. They will show up late for baseball practice because they won't want to leave the TrackMan bays. So during our program, we introduce them all to that and make it fun, and like everyone else does with junior programming. And we really get to utilize the technology. Another thing we noticed is a big change is a little older crowd than kids. Is we started noticing a lot of parents wanting their kids to not play baseball anymore for whatever reason, and they want to play golf. So getting the high school team ready. So last year, we did a whole month of pre-high school tryouts. We walked the kids through what you're going to expect at a high school tryout. I talked to certain high school coaches in the area about what they were looking for the team, and we built a small program. It was like 8 kids going to 2 different schools, and all those kids made varsity. Both those teams went to state, and the parents, they would stick around. They'd watch the lessons. They'd have lunch because we're in a unique position where you can eat and drink and watch your kid get a lesson. They were very, very involved, and it was so successful. We're going to probably launch that every year at all of our clubs throughout the nation.
Magic Pond. When I would bring folks to Intown, like groups of adults to socialize, Magic Pond was always the move. You can't take them to play on, St. Andrews as easily as you can, hitting it in there and collecting monsters. If you haven't done it, it's a riot. So we have, kind of done a deep dive so far into juniors, and engaging families, which was the focus of this. But, it's interesting when you have different groups of people at your facilities that use the facilities differently. Not everybody's a young family. Not everybody's a kid. And I'm going to start with you, Pamela, because I think you've seen this at Reynolds. There are certain facets of the membership that maybe, aren't as engaged with having kids all running around on the course. How do you manage that expectation when you've got junior programming and families running around, but there's a sector of your membership that, they're just out there for what they're out there for?
So about 5 years ago, when I was still at the Creek Club, which was a little bit more boutique-y, not so family, friendly, if you will, I was teaching a lot of ladies that were just learning to play golf. They'd moved to the lake, their husband plays a ton of golf, they might play tennis, or they might have just moved there for the lake, but they knew nothing about golf. And husband drags them down to take lessons from me, and I see them on the range weekly. I'm giving them lessons weekly. So you gotten on the course yet? No, my husband's not ready to take me on the course yet. Okay, well, okay. 3 weeks goes by, have you gotten on the course yet? Golf is not played on the driving range. We've got to go play golf. So I started a program called the 4-Hole League, and it was all my beginner golfers. 4 holes was plenty. We took them out, half-hour clinic prior, take them out, play a 4-hole scramble with other ladies that some of them show up have never driven a golf cart. They don't know what a putter is. It was a huge success because, you know, we threw a cooler of White Claws and some Miller Lights and Mick Ultras in there, and they got the jitters off, and they realized that everybody in this group was the same as them. And we just play a little scramble from like the 150 marker the first week. If we feel like they're moving along and progressing, okay, next week, ladies, we're working on full swing and we're going back to the 200 marker. And really, since the inception of that program, I've probably had 600 or 700 ladies go through this program in a 5-year stint. Because we also, the beauty of it was because it was only 4 holes, I wasn't utilizing the golf course when it was being needed. So at 4:30, 5 o'clock in March or November, not a lot of people playing golf. We got our 4 holes in. They went and had some wine. They utilized the happy hour. They bought some cute outfits. So it just kind of really gave them a place to say, okay, maybe I do actually want to be a golfer. Maybe I do want to be part of this world. And the other success is a lot of them have gotten to the point where they can't play competitive tennis. They can't play a lot of the things that they used to do. And golf is a little slowed down version for them that, you know, now they have a social life outside of tennis or the lake club or the fitness center. So it's been tremendous. I still do it at Landing, and it kind of offsets my schedule. I do a spring and a fall for the 4-Hole League, and then I do a summer program, junior league, family golf, and then kind of mix in a smaller fall league for the PGA Junior League. But, you know, technically we're utilizing all of the amenities year-round during times when possibly they would have just sat empty, stagnant tee times or whatnot.
I got a funny story. I was at a ladies' member guest, and there was a lady helping me pass out the gifts. And I asked her if she played, and she said, "No, I just drive the golf cart around for my friends." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's nice. You don't want to play?" And she goes, "No, I see how competitive these ladies are, but I've become their golf coach." And I'm like, "Huh?" I said, "Have you ever played?" And she said, nope, never played, but I watch them, and I see what they complain about, and then I tell them if they're actually doing that or not. And I was like, "Oh, well, you know, that sounds like a husband." Kind of. And she said, "Yeah, but they take it better from me. It's weird."
Yeah.
So it is funny to see how different sectors engage with the game. Chris, I'm sure, you know, it's being at Summer Grove and before at Eagles Landing, you've had to, you know, have that.
Yeah, I tell you where mine comes in is where the parent may not play, you know, so their kids, you know, I think parents always have good intentions for their kids. They want them to play golf and they know the benefits of it, but they're not a golfer. And so all of a sudden, I'd like to try that, and then they go over there and they try and not very successful. And so where we have another coach, you know, that deals a little bit more with adults, and you know, they can take a lesson while their kids take a lesson. You know, it's a nice little, okay, hey, use your time wisely. Let's use some good time management. Or, you know, just go and hit golf balls on the other end of the range. You know, we have a nice end of the range where we teach at. All right, hey, I'm going to the other end. I'll see you in an hour. Drop off my kids. So I think that's where I see, you know, our program that is, you know, sort of complementary. You know, the junior and the family, but especially for, like I said, the parent that doesn't play. I've got a guy. And he's like, you know what, you know, my son wants to play. I don't want to drive the cart, you know, I don't want to be that. I want to play too, you know. And then he starts thinking to himself, he goes, yeah, I get a chance to go play golf, but I usually turn down that opportunity because I'm not very good and I don't want to go embarrass myself. So they end up, you know, reaching out to us and saying, hey, I want to take some lessons too. So it works really, really hand in hand. So the junior program and the parents on the lesson front.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. You know, in Austin, you know, for you, you know, I guess, sorry, I lost it. Yeah, so just, you know, what are your thoughts there?
On the different members?
Yeah, how they utilize the facility differently. And
Yeah, so we're very unique. in the fact that, like I said earlier, our members are on a whole spectrum. We have Cypress Point members, Augusta National members. We have people that are in the art industry, the film industry in Atlanta that joined and have never played golf. So the utilization of our club is very wide. A lot of times it's used for meetings. So for programming and stuff, we can do golf events. Eastlake and stuff like that use it as a Christmas party because a couple of their members are also members. So the way our programming is around that is we try to give something for everybody. So for GMs and things, we have very specific cocktail programs because a lot of our members don't swing golf clubs. So we have to kind of look at the spectrum in multiple parts. We have a food and bevs program we really lean into. We have cocktail bevs. We do travel and trips for golfers, and then we have our regular golf season programs as well.
And Lauren, you dealing with multiple different, types of facilities out there. What are you hearing that there are challenges when these folks are using PGA Junior League when it's exploding their facilities? Are they telling you that there's challenges dealing with, filling up the golf course with this? I got too much going on here. I can't.
Yeah, I think everyone's always trying to find time on the course, right? Especially now it's so busy. There's some cool things I'm hearing though are members at the facility volunteering and working with the kids. They enjoy seeing the kids out there. They know that those kids are the future of the sport, and they're volunteer scoring or they're volunteering to do other things, and that's a way to engage the members that maybe aren't part of a family but like to see the families out there and like to participate on a voluntary level. So it's really cool to see members embrace it when they can. And some of that has started in a negative context, right? Like you have these kids out here all the time and it's like, well, hey, have you ever thought about coming out and mentoring or walking around with them? Would you like to be a volunteer in any way? And it kind of gets them warmed up to having the kids out there, which is easier to get the kids out when the members are supportive of it. So hearing a bunch of cool stories come from that, and then hearing some professionals go, well, hey, what if we had this format for adults and do like an adult league? And I've had a couple members launch like adult junior league, which is another cool way of tailoring the program as well.
Chris and Pamela, I see.
Yeah, so to that point, it's funny. I will have some of our members that live on like our 4th, 5th, and 6th holes that actually live on the golf course, and they'll ask me, when are we doing junior league again? And it's not that they come out, they don't intrude, they like to go sit on their porch and have their cocktail in the afternoon when we have a junior league match, and they'll take pictures for us. Like one of them's a professional photographer. She'll walk out and take little team photos for us and email them to me so I can send them to the kids. But yeah, they might not play as much golf as they used to because they're getting older, but they love sitting there watching the kids. And it's done a nice change of attitude of like, you got a bunch of kids out here.
Well, same thing with drive, chip, and putt. We had some people volunteer, and all of a sudden, wow, those little kids can hit it farther than me, and so it does take the edge off some of your members that have that stigma of saying, hey, why are the kids out here? They shouldn't be out here. But to get them to ask them and just ask them, I think we don't ask them enough. We don't ask enough to say, hey, come volunteer. Hey, we do need you to help. We got 80 kids, we got 90 kids for drive, chip, and putt. You remember seeing that on Sunday of Augusta National? Well, you may see one of these kids on TV that Sunday. So we'd love for your help. Okay, I'll help. And then after they get a little grumpy, and you say, yeah, that was fun. I appreciate you. When are we doing this next year? So.
The other thing it does is, sorry to jump in there, is, if the memberships understand, like, okay, they're being instructed by professionals, and we are teaching these kids how to care for the course, leave it better than you got there. We're teaching them that love of making sure that, they are responsible, that they're good sportsmanship. That goes a long way of if you've got an 11-year-old out there, when they're out there at 16, 17, and 18 with their friends playing, they're going to remember those values instilled in them during these programs, and they're going to make sure that the golf course is taken care of and the equipment is taken care of.
Yeah, reminds me of a story. I was scrolling through my phone. I found a video, and it was of, so I used to work with one of our great PGA members, John Tillery, and he would teach a lot of our PGA Tour players. Brant Snedeker was in this one in particular, and so Brant had been out there for a couple of days out of Cuskawilla to, just get his training sessions in, and he came, we had junior golf one Friday afternoon, and he stuck around for an extra day so that he could come and engage with the kids. Well, storm rolled in, and so we were all kind of in our little teaching bay, and Brant out of nowhere just says, hey, let's have a TrackMan combine, and he would get up and play against the kids. And I've got all this on video, and so the word kind of got around the community. Like, did this really happen? Like, I mean, we got a top PGA Tour player engaging with our kids here, and so it was like all the conversation down at the bar. And then people would ask me, oh, well, does John only teach high-end players? Well, no, but he also helps teach our staff how to teach. He mentors our staff so that you can get a more approachable to your level training session. So it's just kind of interesting how you can also not only lean on the fact that, hey, there are experts out there that are getting trained at our facilities, and that can trickle down into different programming, whether it's hey, your junior can show up and Brant Snedeker might be there, or the Georgia golf team might be there. I know you see that at Reynolds with the Linger Longer. I mean, how cool is that for the kids to be able to come out and watch some of the best collegiate players in the country, all on their little home course.
Right.
So kind of rolling into the next topic, let's talk about events specifically. And the question was kind of modeled, was there an event that you can remember that maybe went not as well as you had hoped, and maybe ways that you could potentially build on that? Or was there one that really exceeded expectations and you were like, man, I cannot wait to talk about this? This event was great, and it just exceeded expectations. Austin, I know a couple of your events over there. So tell me about some of your events that you thought have either gone well or you had to build on.
Yeah, we had an event that we were pretty excited about. It was like it would be a ladies' event where they can come and do some lessons and things like that, clinics, and the turnout actually was pretty poor. We thought like, oh, like they'd love to come here since they come here on their own accord. We'll like build a program around it, and that'd be great. So we went back and looked at it, kind of saw what they did around the club, and then we turned it into like a fun cocktail golf learning thing with like appetizers, and we brought in a company to like sample wines, and it became like a wine buying / golf event, and we sold out. We had 35 ladies show up on a Tuesday afternoon, ready to go. It was marked on their calendar. So we learned from event side, kind of to your point, when you had the ladies go out, like we just made it more fun, added a drink component, an educational component. We had someone talk about golf and, even on our side, explain what the holes are, explain what penalties are, and kind of have like a little seminar about it. And we just made it fun and added food and drinks to it, and they just came flocking. So we learned that if we can add a food and beverage to the golf event, they come every time. But if we just do golf, it was not as great.
Interesting when you talk about having somebody just talk about some of the basics, where maybe it sounds like it wouldn't be that interesting, but all of us, kind of live in that world. But for an outsider to have somebody who's, seen as the knowledgeable, just talking about like what these things are, because you're right, there's such a barrier to entry for a lot of folks to get out there on the course that sometimes just talking through things with them. You ever see that with your groups at Reynolds?
Yeah, I was gonna kind of go on the event side of things, but I can come back to that. So the week prior to Masters Week, we do a huge event called Major Tee Off. We invite a lot of our vendors, equipment. We set up on the range so they can test the latest and greatest. Putting chipping contest, bounce houses for the kids. But the big draw is we get a bunch of beer vendors. We work with our distributors from around the area, some of the local breweries in Athens, and we've even got a couple at the lake, if you can believe that. But the non-golf is what's drawing them there. They can bring their kid, they can jump on the bounce house, they can play pickleball, they can get a beer, they can get a hot dog. Oh wait, let's go down to the US Kids, let my kids swing a few clubs. Oh, he kind of likes it, okay, maybe we buy a set of clubs or buy one club, like the training club. Oh, mom and dad, let's go do this putting contest. Wow, that's a great putter. Can we buy that? Well, not here, but Pamela has it in her shop. So that event alone has probably been the most all-encompassing family event that we've done, and it's originally started as just a way for, our members to know what vendors we even work with.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, kind of engaging with, local, alcohol producers to help promote their product as well, and get everybody. Seems like a common theme. Chris, what about you?
I've run in the past a junior golf carnival. That sort of kicked off our junior league season. Even brought in the fitness trainers, from our gym at my previous place, and certainly tied in and had a little adult station, and so I think that was a good idea. Talking about the events that may not have gone like you planned. When I first did junior league, it was like, the overzealous parent wanting to teach and wanting to make sure their kid did everything right and take 17 practice swings and take way too long. So all of a sudden we get out there and it's an hour gone by and they just finished the first hole. We're worried a little bit that we might not finish by dark 30 here. So I think that was an event as you start to learn, and I think dealing with the parents, even on the US Kids side, you got to temper their expectations. The parents say, okay, we're playing golf. We're not, this is not a practice session. This is not thinking about every little way to swing a golf club. We're here to play some golf. Let your son and daughter make mistakes, So I think as the world of junior golf and junior league and junior tournaments, we need to, keep that in mind and just be a little firm with the parents and say, okay, guess what? We got a junior program. We're going to work on, little Johnny's swing or little Sally's swing, and we're going to make sure they putt better. But here, we're going to let them make mistakes. And so I think I've learned that through my career and gotten better at that. But it's always maybe the first match of junior league that takes the longest, because you got new parents, you got new juniors, and, they're sitting on the green, and you got 6 little kids on the green, and nobody's putting. You're like, okay, let's go. Somebody's going to putt here, and so I think, always that first week of junior league, you probably hear that quite often. It's just, they're newbies. We gotta remember that. We take things for granted when we coach, when we see a golfer. Just like little things of, how do you check in? And little things like that. So those things we have to just remember. The first time, that we were at the golf course, or we got to put ourselves in their shoes, not an experienced golfer's shoes. So, but. Where I say we get better, each and every junior league season, each and every event. Let them know up front, this is what we're going to do. Our pace of play mission. Walk with a purpose. Play ready golf. The things that we've always learned, taught, but we got to tell it every day. We got to say it every day. We just can't say it once and expect somebody to listen. That's not going to happen. So.
Well, that's a good thing. Just like the energy part, good thing to have echoed to everyone. It's like. Yeah, you got to show up every day with this kind of stuff, because we are all in the habits, right? But a lot of these new folks aren't.
Yeah, especially with the new people we have in the game. I mean, how many newbies you got it? You just said actors and actor. I mean, they're like, yeah, I want to play golf. I see so and so on TV play, and they pick up the club and they're holding like this, and they don't have a clue, and we got to just remember ourselves. We've created this monster of individual carts. Everybody gets their own cart and drive wherever they want. And, we're thinking as PGA professionals, why are they doing that? They don't know better.
Might not know better.
Yeah, so we just have to remind ourselves every day, you got somebody that that doesn't know some of the basics, you know. I mean, repair ball marks, do all the stuff, we can list the list, but they don't know better. Hey, you got a golf cart? I rented this, I can drive it wherever I want, yeah. And I can play as long as I want, I paid my money, you know. I paid my money, I can take my sweet time, so we got a bunch of laughs because we know we've all been there, so. But those are things, like I said, we get better at every time, and because next time you're gonna say, yeah, well, we need to, you know, we can't play this 9-hole in 5 hours or something. So.
Yeah, that's so funny because you're right. It's hard to see folks in that light when you see them doing things that, you know, they should know aren't right, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah, and COVID did good things and bad things, you know. So I mean, that was a good thing. We're all benefiting from a lot more golfers, but a lot of new people out there.
Yeah. Pamela?
So to kind of tie up the whole programming conversation, you know, some of my programs are 2 years old, 3 years old, 5 years old, but the big thing I would say about whatever your programming is it should always be evolving. And this kind of ties back to what Chris was just talking about, that, you know, if you're still doing the same things in your programs that you were doing 5 years ago, you're probably not getting better, you're probably not bringing more people in. Sure, you take the things that worked, but there should always be, from season to season or year to year or program to program, there should be some level of what can we do better, how can we engage more, how can we communicate better, how can we work on our schedules better, so things of that nature. If you're not evolving from program and year to year, you're probably not.
Or new new games for summer camps.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're not going to keep that drive.
Your kid's going to come back for the summer camp. Oh, we did this last summer. It's the same camp I did last. I mean.
Yeah.
Is that a conversation that you have at the end of the season with your staff? Is that a conversation where you engage people who did participate?
Right. Feedback surveys are very important, and, you know, just again, staffing, and not even just your instructors, but, you know, your outside staff or your inside staff of people that this programming affects can also have valuable insights of, yeah, Pamela, we should have probably thought that we need more pull carts for junior league, and we should have had those ready and accessible, and, you know, more directionals, things of that nature.
And I'm sure the staff, you know, either group staff or member appreciates being asked the questions. You know, I mean, we live in a survey-filled world, but you know, when you personally ask someone for their advice, you know, I think they appreciate that and feel more engaged, whether that's staff or participant.
Yeah.
Lauren, you've been all over a couple states here. What have you seen that's been really cool?
Yeah, well, very similar. Time and pace of play, massive right now. I've had a couple of coaches actually give their players and their teams a time limit and say, hey, this match is going to be 2 hours. However many holes you get in is however many holes the match counts for. And at the beginning of the season, they're getting through 4, 5 holes. By the time you're at the end of the season, the kids want to play 9 holes. Right. They want to play. They want to finish the match, and they want to get through it. So they've gotten the kids moving because the kids know, like, we only have this time. Yeah. So, you know, it's tough at the beginning when you're pulling them off 4 or 5 holes, but the parents appreciate it too because they know how long they're going to be there. They're not going to be there for 5 hours or however long it takes for someone to figure out it's their turn to putt, and we see that so much, and they get better as they go. They learn. Yeah. I also had a coach who set up pool noodles as parking spots for bags as they got to the greens, because the kids are leaving their bags all over the place. They don't know where to go, and then they have to walk back across the green and then back across.
That's a really good one.
So yeah, they've created little parking spots to just, this is where you put your bags, so you're close and you're ready to go to the next hole. It's teaching them small things like that that'll help them progress and learning. So it's just
we should do that for
for adults.
Yeah. And that's what these breakout sessions are all about, right? Take something that you can take back to your facility. If I don't see parking spots for golf bags in somebody's facility in the state,
with noodles,
I will be surprised.
with noodles,
noodles.
I'm using it. I'm stealing it. I love it, because that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Take your bag with you.
Because they won't lose their clubs. How about
Absolutely.
But it is funny. I mean, you're right. I think those little things again that we take for granted as the operators, as the people who live in this world, those little pieces make such a big difference. And you're right. Kids don't know where to put their bags. I mean, my kid doesn't know.
Put it on the green.
To turn off the lights.
Yep.
She's fine.
Yeah, that's a cringe. You like.
Flush the toilet. you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, you know, those kids, you just gotta remember that they don't know all those things, and good ways to teach them.
Yeah,
that was a
for
great
sure.
way which actually gets us into kind of our final ask today is, you know, and I asked you all to kind of think about throughout this session, you know, a plug and play best practice. You already used one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
So I hope you got another one in the bank. I'll save you till the end.
Okay.
Oh, you ready for it?
Yeah, hit me.
She's ready for it. Okay, so this is a plug and play best practice that hopefully you guys can take back to your facilities and use them ASAP.
Yeah, so I'll leave the execution best practices to these guys because that's where I pick up all the things. But I think for me, something that I continuously hear is, you know, it's hard to get people to support the programs that you want to do, support the things and ideas you come up with as a professional, because time on the golf course or someone not living in your world in the day-to-day, they don't see the value that comes in until you show them. So something that I continuously ask our professionals is to make sure you're tracking the value that you bring into your facility. These programs are great, but they don't get to happen if you don't get to show what it brings in and what it does for your facility. So the stories, if you can tell stories, those have such a big impact of, you know, the families stay and they have dinner and they're engaging. It's not just about the program, it's what happens after the program, but also some people talk in dollars. So being able to say, here's the value that these programs are bringing in. It's not just about the program, it's about the health of the facility as well. It opens doors sometimes. I had a coach that was being told, you know, we just can't have you guys out here for junior league. And he said, well, what's your slowest day out here? And they told him, it's like, what do you typically make on those days? And they told him, and he said, well, I can guarantee you my junior league games bring this in. And they gave him that day and that time because it replaced their slow time, and it's the only way he was able to run it is because he had tracked it. And he was able to bring in those numbers and provide that, and that kept his program going. So if you have the opportunity and you have a way of tracking that value, it can be really beneficial to keeping these programs around when there sometimes doesn't seem to be space for them.
Yeah, and I think that can be, you know, facility upper management facing and
Yeah.
also customer facing, because if you can, you know, explain to your customer, you know, what this brings, you know, especially when we kind of hinted about groups that may not be engaged necessarily with these programs.
Yeah.
We all know who those different sectors could be. But, you know, if you say, hey, you know, we got 40 kids and that's 40 families and, you know, they have dinner once a week. Here's
Yeah.
you know, this is why this is impactful in the short term.
Yep.
Impacts you.
Yep.
Keeps your dues down.
Yeah, and when those surveys come out too, I do my best to share all the really good quotes that straight to the coaches, so you can have those as testimonials too, because there's some really good ones that come out of that you can just give to people who are asking what the program's about and why do we do this here. And
Right. All right, Austin, got a best practice for us?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the best practice is, we kind of talked about it earlier, but keeping it evolving, like, and always making it better. The biggest thing I would say is when you look at a program, even when we sell it out and we made tons of money and we felt like it was great, we get the whole staff who was involved. We have a meeting the next week. We look at what we could do better, and we just throw ideas in there and see how we can improve every year, kind of to the point where if it's the same program next year, even though we sold out, you could start seeing like programming dwindling. So we always constantly are making it different, making it more fun. Could we take this outside, put people on, you know? So I think getting with your teams after you have one, whether it's successful or not, getting around it, having everybody who was involved kind of throw their ideas in a hat, talk about what was good, what was talked about was bad, and then just kind of always making it more fun or changing it up.
Cool. Pamela?
Oh.
Were you looking at me?
Skip me. I'll come back.
All right.
Chris?
You just want to be safe, the best for last, right? So, I mean, I think, you know, best practices, I think I'd want to flip the table a little bit and really think of the word fun. We use it overboard too much. And I teach a ton of kids starting age 4 and go through as they progress, get older. And what's fun to a 4-year-old is not fun to a 10-year-old, okay? What's fun for a good player, you know, is not fun for a beginner. So I think my best practice is the way I look at each individual class and each individual area that I create. Every program has sort of a theme and has a this game for a 4 and 5-year-old, I'm going to do something different. And then my 10, 11, because if you notice and think about the kids you may teach, if you teach some kids, and that 10, 11, 12-year-old boy is highly competitive. Okay, so they're playing video games, they're playing sports, and they want to win. They want to kill the other kid. Okay, well, the 4 and 5 and 6, they want to be with their friend. They want to play. I want to be my friend. Okay, so you want to make more team events or team games. The other ones, I call them solo savages. You want to go solo savage. They want to beat the other kid. And then next week, guess what? Hey, Johnny, did you work on your game this week? Because, you got it taken on the chin last week. I'm ready, Coach. I'm ready. What's the game this week? So I think let's not overuse the word fun, and let's think about, the fun for that, boys and girls, even as they get older, we start to separate them a little bit. So let's challenge ourselves to think fun in different areas and what's fun to you. And like I said, we're all different personalities, what I may like, and I'm setting up a game, oh, this is great, and we have it in class and it flops. We talked about evolving and fixing an event or fixing a game that didn't go very well, and I constantly look at our games, and from summer camp, end of the camp, I'm like, okay, hey, what was your best game? What did you have the most fun this week? When you hear that same game come up time after time, that's a thumbs up. The games that the kids are a little bored and they're over here, playing with the butterflies and stuff like that. They lost a little interest on that game. That's a game we need to probably tweak or put in the trash can and try something new. So let's look at the word fun. Let's get better at it.
One of the best practice too is call your fellow professionals and ask for the games. I didn't make up one game when I was helping with junior golf. I called everyone else.
Or Instagram. Instagram. Internet's great.
Instagram is a great
because it was
resource.
when we grew up. And Russell, you'd go call up somebody. You'd go visit a pro. That's how we learned how to teach. You'd go visit a pro. You shadow a pro for a couple of days. Said, hey, Wes, can I come out and see you and watch you teach? That's how you learn. Now, guess what? We're in the beauty of technology, and we can see. Wow. I know, Nicole Weller. Oh, goodness. Oh, all right. I just stole what she just did. Okay. And I can name the people that I'd look on that. And so that's the beauty of that in the calling phase. But, go take things,
Rip off and duplicate.
Yeah.
Anybody remember that from their old PGA?
and then also, each facility's different. I can't do what Austin does his facility. First, I don't have a TrackMan. I don't have an indoor. So that'd be great. So I think you have to identify your facility. We're fortunate at Summer Grove. We've got 2 practice holes. So to get out on those practice holes where I don't interfere with, with Steve's daily play, and he's not getting a call and says, oh, I got 4 kids out here and they're holding up the world. Hey, guess what? I'm out of his way. So but each facility, you got to look and identify the strengths of your facility too. So.
Definitely. All right, Pamela.
So I got my quick one. So the other F word is fitness. He's got fun, I've got fitness in most every program I do, whether it's beginner lady golfers, teaching them how to stretch, because if they haven't played golf, they don't understand how important their hip flexors, low back, different aspects of their trunk. Same thing with junior golfers. Most other sports are a little bit more athletic, but we don't focus as much on fitness for golf. Well, that's kind of dumb, as we've seen the evolution of the golfer. You look at the tour players and they're squatting like 280. Teaching kids fitness, stretching, mobility, skipping, jumping, throwing, as part of the golf swing as well. So I think no matter what your program is, junior league, beginner ladies, a senior clinic, teaching them how to swing around their body and their limitations is also a very important practice for whatever program you're doing. There should be at least a 5 to 10 minute fitness or stretching or mobility program allotted with it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, absolutely true. Well, panel, this has been awesome. Thank you guys for being involved. Thank all of you for coming to hang out with us.
You're okay.